Hi folks, the Filipina P here. And just last weekend, I ran a poll asking you guys what your biggest issues were when trying to have a relationship with a Filipina. As you know, I often use these polls as research that I turn into videos, and this was no exception. Thousands of you let me know how you felt, and today we're gonna look at your reasons why you do not want a Filipina. Filipinas are the most loving women on the planet and make the best partners anyone could possibly have. Filipinas are the most immature, jealous, dishonest scammers you could ever have the misfortune to encounter. You'll hear guys saying both these things, but how could they both be true? Well, it just depends on your own personal experience. If you had positive relationships with Filipinas, you'll see things one way, and if you had bad times, you'll see it another. Over the last 5 years, I've described every aspect of the Filipina. I've talked about our good points, our deficiencies, and the things that make us frustrating to deal with. But now let's hear directly from you guys, the men that have actually been dating Filipinas, and listen to the not-so-good stuff. So in the poll, I listed 4 common answers just to get the conversation started. YouTube only lets you have 4 responses, or I could have listed about 20 different things. I mentioned Filipinas only caring about money, telling too many lies, and having chaotic family lives that ruin the relationship. But the real story isn't in the way you answered the poll. It's in the comments you left, where you went into much more detail. So what I'm gonna do is read your responses and just let you guys vent, and then explain why those problems exist, and in some cases, how you can deal with them. Let's get started with one of the most common complaints. Jealousy. In his response to my poll, Tim K put it like this. My first 2 tries with Filipinas went badly, as both would get crazy jealous and claim I was cheating on them if I didn't contact them as much on certain days. I got tired of being accused of something untrue, so I ended both relationships. With the one I have now since 2024, I told her that if she started accusing me, I'd end things with her too. But so far, she's been very patient and hasn't accused me of anything. So I'm flying out to meet her next week. Well, congrats, Tim. I hope it all works out. And you did exactly the right thing. Tell her specifically what you won't tolerate. And if she just can't help herself, then, oh well, it's time to look for number 4. Now, here's some other comments on the topic of jealousy, which has almost become synonymous with the word Filipina. Mason D says, mine was extremely jealous and simply would not trust me. I was constantly having to account for my whereabouts, prove my innocence, and keep checking in to prove I wasn't with another woman. It was exhausting, and 2 years of it pushed me away. Greg W. She asked me something about an ex and then gets mad when I reply. And George. I have plenty of female friends and coworkers. I've never dated any of them, or slept with any of them, or socialized with them. But anytime I mention a female, my Filipina partner wants to know exactly what we talked about and if we met somewhere. She also needs to be friends with all my friends on Facebook so she can keep up with what's going on. Mr. A. The biggest issue is definitely extreme jealousy. I can't even watch YouTube without her demanding to see what made me laugh, especially if it's the Filipina P. This will likely be the end of our relationship. Really? Wow. Everyone knows that Filipinas are crazy jealous. But why? Why would young, beautiful women become so irrational at the mere thought of another woman? Well, like I've discussed in other videos, a Filipina's jealous behavior is the part you see, but it's really about something else. Her insecurity. You might not realize it, but you represent something very rare to the woman you're chatting with. Whether it's a once-in-a-lifetime shot at getting out of poverty, or a once-in-a-lifetime chance of finding true love. But for whatever reason she's in the relationship, every Filipina knows how replaceable she is. Now you might say, no way! I'm old and dusty, and I'm the lucky one just to have a chance at being with a woman like that. But that's totally irrelevant. First of all, she won't believe you. And second of all, she knows there's 100 other women that'd love to take her place. So she feels like she's gotta fight just to keep you. Part of that fighting includes constant vigilance against any other Filipinas penetrating her fortifications and worming their way into your life or onto your friends list. She's terrified of being replaced and very insecure about her own value, no matter what you tell her. But that's not the only kind of jealousy you'll see here. A lot of it is directed at your Filipina from her family and friends, and it can ruin your relationship. From Michael H. The worst thing was the crab mentality of her friends and family. It's shocking to see the level of envy and jealousy with their closest relatives, and the drama and sabotage that comes with it. Grim G. The family drama is the biggest issue. Because she's with a foreigner, they immediately assume she's living this life of excess, capable of handing out any sum of money they need. But then it turns out they're lying to her because they never used the money for the reason they said, and they manipulate her using emotion. It's very true that a Filipina's family can cause all sorts of problems, and she's gonna end up right in the middle of things, like the flag in the center of a rope in a tug of war. She owes her loyalty to her family, but she wants to be with you. So what's a poor little Filipina supposed to do? Whatever it is, get ready for drama and a fight over money. Uno C commented, half of them are gold diggers with super strong family ties. And no, I'm not paying for your great uncle's car repair just because we're dating. Baba T, the biggest problem is money. Most will date and satisfy you, but the focus always turns to cash. Ed A, they're always asking for money. She wants a new camera, needs money for a camping trip, and the list just keeps going on and on. Thank God I left all that behind. J.K. Crawford, I've spoken to quite a few Filipinas, and the conversation always turns out the same. You chat for a day and think, oh, she seems nice. And then on the second day, she starts talking about a problem that's worrying her. And by the third day, she's asking for money. Filipinos are the ones to blame for this, but it's also the army of simps who go straight for their wallet, making it a lot worse for everyone else. Can agree. Jeff D. It seems that most are liars and cheaters. I have yet to meet one that's all about love. It seems to be only about money and sex. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far. I wouldn't say most of us Filipinos are cheaters, but I did say I was gonna let you guys vent, so go right ahead. One thing I do agree with, though, is that when you guys rush to open your wallets, all you're doing is cultivating a new crop of women who realize how easy it is to get money just by twisting the truth a little bit. All the women that do that kind of thing have friends and friends of friends. And trust me, when a Filipina can get a month's wage by telling some Western guy she just met online that she needs a tooth pulled, there's gonna be a whole bunch more women grabbing their cell phones and making a profile on a dating site. Is that what any of you guys really want? And getting money out of you under false pretenses like that is a form of lying, but it's not the only form. There's also the dreaded saving face, when our fear of looking bad is more important than telling the truth. Here's one from Michael I. Saving face is really difficult to deal with. In the West, it's a huge red flag that she isn't trustworthy. But over time, some Pinay can accept the fact that the unvarnished truth makes us love them even more, and it's safe to tell us everything. Brandon P. She refuses to be honest. It's like she's just playing a role instead of letting me learn about who she really is. So she's not much different than an AI girlfriend. And when she makes a mistake, it's just excuse after excuse. Why can't she just be honest and genuine and accept responsibility for her choices? Well, here's why. Many of us are taught from birth not to admit we did anything wrong and to never let our reputation suffer. If we do, we lose honor or face, which should always be avoided at all costs. I made a video about the relationship between saving face and lying. It's one of my favorites, and if you've never seen it, it's worth watching. But even if you escape the jealousy, the interference of the family, the attempts to get your money, and the problems with telling the truth, you still might have a hard time relating to a Filipina. From Robert M. The two updated had no mind of their own or even a preference of food. It's hard to treat someone as an adult when you're constantly playing guessing games. It's like pulling teeth. Motley D. The biggest problem when dating a Filipina or even being married to one is asking them to make a decision, even a minor, inconsequential one. If I hear it's up to you again, I'll think I'll scream. Okay, I'll scream for you. Ah! Richard T. The inability to understand the concept of not spending every penny she gets and learning how to distinguish what she wants from what she needs. We don't need any more useless garbage clogging up our home. Oh, don't I know it? From George. The biggest difference is the language. One time I said, "You little devil," and she started crying because she thought I was literally calling her the devil. What? Wabash. She doesn't get any of my jokes, and they actually seem to hurt her feelings. Sarcasm is definitely not well received. Yes, it's true that dating a Filipina can mean problems with understanding each other's meaning, especially when it comes to humor. But even when we get what you're saying, don't expect a total meeting of the minds. Like I've said many times, a lot of Filipinas, especially those from the province, live in very small worlds where the only things that interest them are whatever happens in their own neighborhood. So if you want to find someone to talk about the war in Ukraine, you might have to look somewhere else. Helix B says, the biggest problem is a lack of stimulating, intelligent conversation. Sean G. I've noticed that they don't really like to interact or have a conversation. When you ask them certain things, they just choose not to answer, and it's quite frequent. A. Lewis. I've dated about 10 Filipinas. Wow, 10. And although they check many boxes, it's their inability to connect on a psychological level that always seems to end things. They're one-dimensional creatures in that regard. And even after all this, you guys still weren't done. Here's some more random comments about issues you've had when dating a Filipina. The Coconut. Hypersensitive and poor communication. New Urban. Sense of entitlement, immaturity at age 32, excessive pride and lack of humility. Gabe G. Lack of accountability and taking responsibility for mistakes. It's just being a woman. Lack of communication and childish behavior like tampo, even when it's critically important to clear things up. Again, being a woman. Gregory T. My girlfriend tried tampo, but it didn't work. I can do tampo for decades. Good for you, Greg. Fix TL. With a Filipina, it's all or nothing. They expect instant, full commitment, and being head over heels for them from the first second of meeting. If you're not willing to do anything and everything for them, they have no time for you. And finally, we have chivalry is dead. My Filipina has some difficulty in dealing with Western characteristics. I demand clear communication, healthy habits with food, and I keep a grip on all finances. No money goes in or out without my consent. My unwillingness to take it easy on these topics has been somewhat of a rude awakening to her, since she expected things to be easy. And there you have it in a nutshell, folks. And a lot of these problems can be handled if you deal with them in advance. I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. As soon as you realize that you want to pursue a relationship, have a serious talk about the things you expect. Don't be a wimp. Tell her what you will and will not tolerate, and do it before it becomes a problem. In your world, you shouldn't have to warn someone to be honest or not to constantly accuse you of cheating. But if you let a Filipina know you're not easily fooled and that there's some things you're not willing to bend on, you'll actually be doing both of you a favor. Now, before anyone accuses me of talking badly about my Filipino sisters, let me remind you that I always tell both sides of the story. So don't be surprised if my next poll is asking you about the best traits in a Filipina and why we're a better choice. Thanks to everyone that participated, and there's always a new poll every week. Well, that's it for this episode, and I'll be back next Friday with something new. Till next time, folks. As I mentioned in my last video, I've started spending a lot more time on my Patreon page while I'm here in the US, and I invite you all to join me there for extra fun. What is Patreon? Well, it's an online community where I hang out with the other members and discuss anything under the sun. We post pictures and trade stories, and I offer free advice to anyone who asks, from how to find the cheapest flight or the best attorney to the best ways to find a good Filipina. But best of all, I post exclusive clips and videos at least once a week. So if you want to come hang out and chat with me behind the scenes, I'd love to have you on Patreon. See you there!